Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 54 of the World of Sports podcast. I am your host, Diego Sandoval. Joined with me, as always, is my co-host, Logan Ring. Logan, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody?
We've got a special Saturday episode, Saturday, October 2nd. We've got some great things to talk about. As always, we're going to do our NFL weekly picks and bold predictions. It is week 4 in the NFL season. And our record is all tied up. So
I got that big lead in week 1, and I've kind of been choking it away.
So I don't know if we want to do a wager or what. We don't have to.
No,
we're tied up.
I'm not ashamed of saying that just a little bit more about the NFL than me.
Hey, but that being said, we are even through 3 weeks. So that'll be exciting. Maybe one of us will pull away. Maybe we have the exact same picks. We don't know. And then the bold predictions, which we do 2 bold predictions each. And then we are going to shift over to the MLB because it is winding down pretty much 2 more games for every single team. And then playoffs start next week, which is very exciting, starting with the wild card matchups, which we don't know. Neither wild card matchup is fully set. The National League is looking like it's going to be Dodgers Cardinals. And then the American League is everything is still to be decided. There's a possibility at a 4-way tie for 1 spot.
Do you even know what they do at that point?
It would be
who plays who.
We'll talk about it later, but they do it based off of I think it's head-to-head matchups, and then a team will get a bye or something, and
right.
There's weird contingencies if there's I don't think it's ever happened, but
yeah,
there's stuff written in the rule book for it. So that's obviously something to watch for these last 2 days. If you're watching this on Saturday, if not, then it already happened. But we're also going to go back and look at our awards and standings predictions from the beginning of the season and kind of see how we fared. Spoiler alert, not too well, but that's predictions for you. So you can never really be too certain. And then the NBA, the only big thing that happened this week was every team had their media day. So if you have new players on your teams, you got to see them in uniform for the first time, which I know as a Laker fan was super cool because there's only 3 or 4 returning players from last year. I'm sure you as a Cavs fan love to see Taco Fall in that Cleveland uniform. And then preseason starts tomorrow. So if you're a fan of NBA preseason, you're going to be so happy tomorrow.
I just want to watch some basketball.
But yeah, that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. Before we get into it, you can follow us on all of our social medias, the World of Sports podcast. They will be linked down below. If you're listening, head over to Instagram. The link in our bio should have the links to take you really anywhere. So yeah, let's kick it off with our NFL Week 4 picks. To start off, 2 nights ago, actually, Thursday night football game was another very good Thursday night football game. I feel like every Thursday night game has been really good games. Bengals Jaguars, not the sexiest matchup, but the Bengals were able to complete the comeback and beat the Jags, battle of 2 number 1 overall picks, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow. Bengals are 3-1. Jaguars are 0-4. I think they're getting close to the NFL history record of most consecutive losses. It's I think it's because they went 1-15 last year, and now they're 0-4. So and they only won the first game last year, so they've lost 19 straight games.
Yikes!
So yeah,
if they go, well, I guess they can't have the same thing because there's 17 games. But if they go 1-15 and then 0-17, I guess that'll give me PTSD from a Browns fan. Just not good.
Yeah, things are looking rough in Jacksonville right now. But all that matters to us is we both got that game correct. We both had the Bengals winning that game. So props to us as of right now.
4-0 each on Thursdays.
Yeah, there it is. We are now after the Thursday night game, we're both 35-14 with our picks, which is good. I think those are good records. So yeah, we'll see how they look after this week, but we've done pretty solid so far. A game that I think we are both going to do solid on is the Tennessee Titans taking on the New York Jets. I think it's pretty fair to say at this point, bet against the Jets. I've got the Titans.
Yeah, same. I mean,
The
it's not a hard choice.
The Titans are without their 2 wide receivers, which is unfortunate, but Derrick Henry's going to rush for 250 yards. So he isn't a bold prediction for me for this week, but I mean, if he is for you, I wouldn't be surprised because yeah, but don't be surprised if Derrick Henry just blows the Jets away.
Yeah.
Moving on to another 0-3 team, the Detroit Lions are traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears. We don't know who's starting for the Bears at quarterback. Matt Nagy, head coach of the Bears, came out and said it's basically a toss-up between Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, and Nick Foles. I feel bad for Justin Fields because he's in a terrible system. Their play calling is terrible. Offensive line is not good. And he had his NFL debut as a starter against one of the best, if not the best, defensive front sevens in the NFL. So he's getting a lot of the blame, but I don't think it's warranted.
No.
I don't know. The Bears just aren't in a good spot right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a Browns fan. You watched that game last week. It just wasn't pretty.
I mean, it was great to see the Browns dominate, but like you couldn't help but like feel bad for Justin Fields. Like he had a really bad game, but if you watch the game, it's not his fault. Like he had 4 guys running at him every single play. He got sacked, I think, like 9 times, which was like most in like 5 years for like any quarterback. It was terrible. And the Browns are a very good defensive team, but like I think they had a total of like 3 sacks in the first 2 games. So it's like that's the Bears offensive line just being awful. So we'll see what happens, but I got the Lions winning this one.
So do I.
I mean, they really just couldn't do anything the entire game. And yes, that like credit to the Browns. I'm a Browns fan, but like other teams are going to do the same thing. And maybe not to the same extent, but like they need to fix some stuff. Their offense was absolutely terrible. I think they had a net passing yards of like 1 the entire game. Like,
yeah, it wasn't good.
That's awful. That's
it
so
was
bad.
Like they had like 64 total yards of actual offense.
Yeah,
it was like
it was so terrible. And the only reason they scored was because like a turnover on downs when they were like 20 yards away. So it was really bad.
And the other side, we both had the Lions winning this game. I feel like we're mostly talking about the Bears being bad, which is 100% warranted. The Lions pretty much beat the Ravens last week.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to Justin Tucker. He's the best kicker in the NFL, and he's going to go into the Hall of Fame. But he doinked in a 66-yard field goal, and he gets he deserves all the credit for that. But like every other aspect of that game, the Lions pretty much won it.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive. Like, that's not a nothing thing. Like,
the record says 0-3, but they haven't played like an 0-3 team.
Yeah, exactly.
While the Bears most definitely did last week. So,
yeah.
We both have the upset of Lions versus Bears, so should be interesting. Another upset for me is the 0-3 Colts. I have them beating the 1-2 Miami Dolphins. Neither team has looked good. It's such a bad matchup in my opinion. The Dolphins did look good against the Raiders last week. Jacoby Brissett did well down the stretch. But I don't know. Something in my gut says the Colts aren't going 0-4.
Yeah, are the Dolphins still hurt this week? They still banged up. Okay.
Yeah.
I got the Colts too. I took the Dolphins last week at first, and then I changed it because you told me that was awful, and then they were hurt. Which I'm glad I did, but I was stressing out because they were making a comeback.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think this is going to be a great game to watch. I'm definitely not going to really pay attention too much, to be honest, but I got the Colts winning. I don't know. Not great showings for both teams so far.
Yeah. Moving on to a matchup that I think is going to be good is the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Cleveland Browns. Vikings at 1-2 looked really good last week against the Seahawks. And then the Browns looked really good against the Bears. So it's two teams that have looked good as of late. Two different records, obviously 1-2, 2-1, but it's early in the season. Looking at records is you need to look at records, but sometimes they don't give the most accurate depiction of how a team's doing. Who do you got in this one? Your Brownies, probably, huh?
I mean, I'm taking my Brownies again.
Yeah.
They showed a lot of what people sort of like expected their peak to be just last game, or I guess their potential. And I don't think the defense is going to play that well against any team. The Bears were just awful.
Mm-hmm.
But like they have a ton of potential on that end, and the offense has been really consistent so far. Baker's been pretty good. He's been very efficient, and the running game has been there. I mean, it's going to be there with two of the best, running backs in the league, basically. I just think we're a really deep team, and I'm glad that we got to show what we could do last week. The Vikings are really good, and they played terrible in their first two games, but last week, I guess it kind of showed like what they are. So I think it's going to be a close one. I really believe in these Browns this year.
Yeah, I got the Browns in this one too. Last week, the Vikings were basically able to run and pass all over the Seahawks because the Seahawks defense isn't too strong. But obviously, we've seen that the Browns defense is a lot stronger than that. And also, the Vikings may be without Dalvin Cook. So he's questionable. He didn't play last week. We'll see in terms of that. But I've got the Browns in this one. Moving on, the Washington football team is taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Nobody really expected the Falcons to do much, but the football team has definitely been very underwhelming. I think a lot of people expected their defense to be very good, and they haven't been at all in really any regard. But that being said, the Falcons are just bad. So I've got the football team in this one.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't have a ton more to add. I kind of thought the same exact thing. I got Washington too. And yeah, they have been kind of disappointing. I thought their defense was going to be a ton better, but we'll see. It's still early.
And in a game that I think, other than the Jets, if you had to pick another one, the lock of the week is definitely the Buffalo Bills beating the Houston Texans. Texans just aren't a good football team. I've said it the last 2 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if they were the Jaguars of last year, win week one and don't win any other week. And then the Bills started off rough against the Steelers, but since then have just looked like the absolutely high-powered dynamic offense we expected them to be.
Yeah, same. I got the Bills, obviously. The Texans, they did kind of show some like exciting things that they could do. They played the Browns and were actually not awful for the first half, but then, they're still not a great team at all. So
yeah, Davis Mills ain't it. Tyrod Taylor might have been able to do something with this team, and by something I mean like 6 wins, but not Davis Mills.
Yeah.
Moving on, the New Orleans Saints are taking on the 2-1 New Orleans Saints are taking on the 0-3 New York Giants. This Giants team just doesn't, they can't win games. They have decent individual players here and there. Daniel Jones has actually looked pretty good this year. Surprisingly, I think most people would say surprisingly, but they just haven't been able to piece it all together and win football games. And I think this Saints defense is really legit. Like it got overshadowed week one because it was pretty much all about Aaron Rodgers sucking. Week two they lost. And then week 3 they had another good performance against the Patriots. So I believe in this Saints defense, and I think they win this one.
Yeah, I agree. I bet on Saquon Barkley last week for my bold prediction just because they were playing a terrible Falcons defense, but he just hasn't really been able to do anything, to be honest. And that's coming back from injury. Yeah, but it's just, the Giants offense has been just really underwhelming, even though, like you said, Daniel Jones has been good, but like if nobody else is stepping up, you can't really do anything.
That offensive line is also one of the worst in football, which doesn't help Saquon, but it just isn't a good situation for New York football.
And the Saints have been up and down and then up again. It's been 3 weeks, but they've shown that they can be really good. Even if they play terribly, I still feel like they can beat the Giants. So I feel like I just got to pick them. I think they're just a much better team.
Yeah. Moving on, 2 1-2 teams. The Kansas City Chiefs and the
So weird.
Philadelphia Eagles. I'm gonna be honest. The Chiefs aren't the team that we've seen the last couple of years. They have the offense, of course, but I think we're getting to a point where now, in no way am I saying like the Chiefs are gonna not make the playoffs. They're gonna win this division. I think. I still don't. At 1-2, they could. They have they have a team that can go 15-2. So don't get me wrong. They're a great team and they're gonna make a push this year. But the last couple weeks with the Ravens and the Chargers, we've seen if teams can force a couple turnovers here and there of the Chiefs, it's not that hard to beat them. You just have to be able to score because their defense is not good.
Yeah.
Like it's if you can turn the ball over, I'd say 2 times against the Chiefs, you have a very good shot of winning.
Yeah, if the Browns didn't have a couple mistakes where Nick Chubb fumbled the ball, which he does not do a lot, and then Baker throws an interception at the very end, they could beat 0-3 easily. So, yeah, I mean, I'm still picking the Chiefs. I think they're an amazing team still.
So am I, but it's just something to talk about. But they're not the same, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it's a nothing thing to say that, like, people could be a little bit not worried, but like they're 1-2, so that's not something to just be like, oh well, we'll get back. You gotta start winning. I mean, it's not a nothing thing.
And the Eagles came out hot week 1, torched the Falcons, and haven't done anything since. So
yeah,
I'm not impressed with the Eagles. If I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm a bit worried because I think that where there hasn't been in the last couple of years, there's a pretty clear game script on how to beat the Chiefs. So if I'm a Chiefs fan, I might be a little bit worried, but also I don't expect them to absolutely flop this season. Moving on to 2 interesting teams this year, the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Carolina Panthers. Cowboys at 2-1, Panthers at 3-0. Panthers defense has looked really good this year, and Sam Darnold has looked like a really good quarterback. It seems like he is the latest of the Adam Gase New York Jets are just terrible. And also Sam Darnold is, I think, 23, 24 years old. Like, he's the same age as some of these rookie quarterbacks this year. He came into USC as 18-year-old and then got drafted when he was 20, I think. So
crazy.
This guy's a franchise quarterback still for the Panthers. And they've looked good, but don't get me wrong, I have been very impressed with the Cowboys. Like, their one loss was a nail biter to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, and they pretty much, I mean, it was a close game against the Chargers, but then they just absolutely walked all over the Eagles.
Right.
So I've got the Cowboys in this one. I think the Panthers lose their first game.
Yeah, I think we have all the same picks so far. I got the Cowboys too. Yeah, I've been really impressed too. I mean, it's kind of been the joke to just like laugh at the Cowboys every single year, but I honestly feel like they're very talented.
Yeah.
And I'm really impressed by Dak also. He's been great so far. I feel like the Panthers have also been fantastic, but I just don't expect them to keep it up at the level that they're doing now. And I feel like the Cowboys are, I guess, a better, well-rounded team. So I'm gonna take them in this one. Like you said, their one loss to the Bucs. I mean, like I'm not gonna take that as like an L for them for real. Like, they played great that entire game. So yeah, really impressed by both these teams though.
Yeah, and the Panthers are missing arguably the most important player in football, and that's Christian McCaffrey. He's out for a couple of weeks, which is very unfortunate. Football is better when he's on the field. And I think that's a pretty big blow when you don't have a guy that can go for 100 receiving yards and 100 rushing yards in a game. So I've got the Cowboys. Now, a game that I think is going to be interesting, a couple NFC West teams, the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. Seahawks coming off of a very tough loss against the Vikings. Niners coming off of a loss as well, but not as tough of a loss. They played really well against the Packers. I think it's going to be a good game. Who do you got?
I got the 49ers in this one.
There's a we got a difference.
All right, there we go. Yeah, the Seahawks have been really disappointing to me for the last couple of weeks. They've blown a lead, a big lead. And it's just, I feel like the 49ers, I don't know why they're always like just winning games, but I feel like they do. And like, if Aaron Rodgers didn't have that insane game-winning touchdown last game, then they would have won again. And that's kind of what we said last week. Like, you can never just count them out. And this is mainly just like me not believing in the Seahawks for this week because I've been picking them and it's just, I don't know what's happening. It's just been disappointing for some reason. So I'm going with the 49ers.
Yeah, I definitely flip-flop back and forth with this matchup. Just the Niners have looked good, but I feel like every week it's almost like they shouldn't be playing this well because they've been so injured. And right now we don't know if George Kittle is playing tomorrow. That's still up in the air. But I don't know. This is a game that I see just there's something inside me that says Russell Wilson is going to come out and ball. Like we know he definitely can, but it's just pretty hit or miss with him almost. I don't want to say that. He's a very solid quarterback, but just the Seahawks as a team are hit or miss, I guess I would rather say. Because they either go out there and look like a legit Super Bowl contender or they look like just a solid offense with zero defense. So this game definitely could go either way. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. One, because that was just what was in my brain this morning. And also it's a difference. And
there we go.
I would rather us not end up with the same record after this week again. Moving on, another NFC West matchups, a battle of undefeated teams. So one team is going to walk away with their first loss unless there's a tie, but ties suck. Rams, Cardinals, two teams that have looked very good. Last week, the Rams pretty much dominated the Buccaneers. And they were my pick for the Super Bowl before the season. And right now it's looking good in my opinion. And right now I'm looking at the Los Angeles Rams, maybe not even picking them to lose a game this year. So wow. I've got the Rams in this one.
You know what? I this is absolutely an upset, but I'm going for the Cardinals this game. And I mean, the Rams have been insanely good so far. So this is really not a smart pick in my opinion, but I really like the Cardinals so far. Kyler Murray's been great. They've been an exciting offensive team. Both of these defenses are good. The Rams have been insane on defense. But I'm definitely going to watch this entire game. Like this is going to be a really exciting matchup. Both these teams are amazing. I mean, I just really like the Cardinals. That's basically it. I just believe in them. And then I don't know. I mean, the Rams are great too. So it's not like this is going to be just a game where I'm like, oh, the Cardinals are definitely going to win, but kind of want to pick an upset here.
Yeah. I mean, the Cardinals are a great team, but when you look at the Rams and you have a top 3 offense and a top 3 defense, it's kind of hard to beat that team. When you have the Rams have the 2 best defensive players in the world.
Yeah.
Both on their team. Then they do very different things, which is amazing for that defense. And then I think Matthew Stafford has pretty much unlocked that team's full potential. He really likes Cooper Kupp. That's like the only guy he throws to, which is unfortunate as a Robert Woods fantasy owner, but you know, you live and you learn, I guess. But yeah, I think this is going to be a good game. I think this game is going to pretty much decide. It's not going to decide. It's one game, but it's going to depict what the division could look like for the rest of the season. So right. Rams Cardinals going to be a great one. Moving on, we have 2 teams that have had I'd pretty much say this for every matchup. Both these teams have had interesting seasons. The Packers, it's Packers Steelers based. Packers at 2-1, Steelers at 1-2. The Steelers are bad. I don't think the Steelers are good.
So bad.
Like Ben Roethlisberger is washed. It's safe to say that.
Yeah. I mean, I am not a fan of Ben Roethlisberger at all because he plays for the Steelers and he's just not a good guy. But he has been very bad. And I mean, it's not necessarily his fault. Like the man's very old. Like not everybody can be Tom Brady and just play forever. So you understand the decline, but I think he attempted like 56. He threw like 56 times last week. And I think none of them were over like 10 yards. And that's just like, how is that even possible? And there's that like meme going around where he like takes 3 steps and throws the ball and then just falls down. And I feel like that's kind of a representation of the Steelers so far this year. They've just been really bad. And I mean, the Packers have been good the last couple of weeks. The first week they got absolutely embarrassed, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers just led a game-winning drive last week. I mean, they've been really good. Aaron Rodgers is finally showing like he's back. I mean, there were a lot of question marks for that, but I'm betting against the Steelers right now. And then, I mean, the Packers have been good, so why not?
Yeah, I've got the Packers. The Steelers came out week 1, beat the Bills 23-16, and it looked like it could be a type of season that we saw with Peyton Manning in his last year, where the defense just absolutely carried him. But, you know, then they lose to the Raiders 26-17, and they lose to the Bengals 24-10. You're not going to win football games in this current NFL, just the way the NFL landscape is. You can't win football games scoring 10 and 17 points. So both got the Packers in that one. Moving on, the 2-1 Ravens taking on the 3-0 Broncos. The Broncos are a fraudulent 3-0 team. They have every team they've played has not won a game yet. So
I don't even understand how that can happen.
They got the most
that lucky
cakewalk opening 3 weeks ever. So all that, I've got the Ravens.
Yeah, there's not a lot to say. I mean, the Ravens are the Ravens, and I mean the Broncos, like you just said, are not 3-0 for real. So yeah, it's an easy one.
Yeah. So yeah, Broncos lose their first game according to both of us. Now, this game that they're trying to hype up as this huge Sunday night football matchup, going to be a great game. Tom Brady returning to Foxborough. It's going to be great. The Buccaneers are going to dominate this game. Like, yeah, it's Tom Brady's return, and I'm sure there'll be some cool stuff, but the Buccaneers are going to win this game.
Yeah, if Tom Brady gets booed, I am going to be so angry. First of all, I don't expect
it to happen. But
there's no way that happens.
Boston sports fans are very petty.
Yeah, but he's white though, so
that's true. And also, oh yeah, maybe he gave you 5-6 Super Bowl rings.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Bucks are a lot better, and they have a guy named Tom Brady. I mean, Mac Jones has shown that he can be good, but like, you're talking about Tom Brady, so right. Yeah, I got the Bucks, but I definitely want to see what happens because, I mean, is it his first time coming back?
Yeah,
I'm excited for that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, Sunday Night Football should be a good one. And now the Monday night game. My Las Vegas Raiders are heading over to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Let's just get this out there that it's a home game for the Raiders. Right now, the statistics and the projections say that it's probably going to be close to 75% Raider fans in Los Angeles, just based on ticketing websites and who's ordered tickets. So, but that's also always how it is in LA. The Raiders are pretty much Southern California's team, being that the Chargers don't have that big of a fan base, and the Rams just moved there. Don't get me wrong, the Rams are starting to kind of be the popular team, but anytime the Raiders come to town, it's almost like, oh yeah. Yeah. That being said, it's going to be a great game. I think the Raiders have played in 3 really good games, except for maybe the Steelers one was kind of not that close of a game. But I mean, overtime with the Ravens, overtime with the Dolphins. I'm not going to predict this game's going to overtime because that's kind of a weird thing to predict. But they haven't proven me wrong yet. So I'm rocking with the Raiders. I think they advanced to 4-0 against the Chargers.
You'll be happy with me for this one. I'm finally starting by picking the Raiders this time. I picked them last week. They scared me a little bit, but that pulled through.
That's how the Raiders operate, by the way. They never like to blow out teams. It'll be a close game every week.
Yeah. The Chargers have been really impressive to me, though. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for this game too. Shout out to Dom. I mean, there's not been a lot that I can say to joke about him because usually I just joke about the Chargers whenever he talks about the Browns, because for the last 2 years I've been able to do that. But I think it'll be a close game. I have a very bold prediction. I guess I can just say it right now because we're going to go.
Yeah, we're going to segue right into bold predictions. But we both have the Raiders.
Yes, I have the Raiders. This is a weird one. Okay, it's a little confused. Well, I'll just say it. I got the Raiders Chargers ends on a game-winning drive, so that they take the lead in the last minute is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I got the Raiders winning. So if that happens, then
Hey,
I just am a prophet, I guess.
Derek Carr has been very good in clutch time these last couple
Yeah.
weeks.
He still
So
leads the league in passing, right?
by like 200 yards. So
Yeah, I mean,
MVP watch.
but yeah, I'm really impressed with the Raiders so far. I picked against them the first 2 weeks and they won. So, I mean, they showed me that. So I'm gonna pick them in this one. Yeah, I think it'll be a good one.
I'm trying to remember at least one of the two games last year. The Raiders had a game-winning drive against the Chargers. So these two teams with rivalry games in the NFL, it's always hard fought, no matter like how good either team is. I mean, we've seen it the last couple of years where like the Raiders at like 4-7 will just go out and beat the Chiefs for no good reason. So, but just rivalry games in general always have this feel about them, and it's almost like anyone can win. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that game on Monday night. My bold prediction, I think, I don't know if they won by this much last week, but I think that the Buffalo Bills win by 30 points this week.
Wow,
It's a lot, and it's a bold prediction.
I can see it happening.
They play the Texans, and okay, the Bills beat the Dolphins by 35-0, and then they beat the football team 43-21. So,
Jeez.
I mean, keep it rolling, Josh Allen. Both of our MVP picks. So I think the Bills win by 30.
Nice. My second one, just because Brady's going home, I guess, for his first game, I predict 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in that game.
Oh, 0 interceptions.
Yeah, I could see it happening. I mean, he's had some interceptions just because his like receivers like to just hit the ball up to other people.
Yeah,
which
he
is
did
just,
get screwed a couple times.
yeah. So that's happened. But I could definitely see him just going off this game. I mean, he's going to throw a lot. He always does, but he's going to go back to his home and then just show out, I think. So, yeah.
All right. In the Washington football team Atlanta game, I have scary Terry McLaurin going for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Nice.
It's a big game from a receiver, but I mean, he's got the talent, and Taylor Heineke really likes to throw to him, and the Falcons are god awful. So Terry McLaurin, 2 TDs and 150 yards.
I feel like we're just gonna do something against the Falcons every week just because we have to.
Yeah, have to. Moving on, those are our NFL picks. Post will be going up probably tomorrow morning. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Now to the MLB. We're going to talk a little bit, season winding down, 2 more games for each team, pretty much. Exciting times. Starting with our awards picks at the beginning of the season. Let's just preface this. If you ever are a major league player and you get your award picked by me, expect to get hurt this season, because that happened for every single one of my award picks. So that's cool. Starting off with National League MVP, you had Juan Soto, which didn't look like a good pick.
I still think that's a good. I don't think he's going to do it, but
it turned into a very good pick. At the beginning of the season, it was kind of like what happened to Juan Soto, but I mean, it's going to be a long shot for him to win the batting title. Trey Turner's kind of pulled away at 327.
Yeah,
but he's had a ridiculous second half. So it's a good pick. It's a good pick.
Yeah, I think his on base percentage for like the last month has been like 600 something.
Like 600.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a really good season. I'll just list off batting 317. He batted like 350 last year for the 60 games. 29 home runs, 94 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, OPS 1.011. I mean, I don't think he's going to win it, but I could see him finishing like top 3. So I don't think it was a bad pick at all. He also wasn't the favorite. So like, I'm glad I picked someone like that. So yeah, I'm not ashamed about it.
I went with Corey Seager, who, like I said, got hurt and missed a very good chunk of the season. But I'm not. He's 100%. There's no way he's winning the award, so I'm accepting that. But in September, I mean, he's hitting 360 with an on base percentage of 450. I mean, we've seen Corey Seager in the last couple years heat up come playoff time, and it seems like that's what he's doing. I mean, his last 7 games, he's hitting 400 with slugging over 1100. So Seager is heating up at prime Seager time, I guess, but he definitely didn't have the regular season that I expected.
Yeah, I mean, that's an injury, so you can't really be disappointed in that.
He's going to end the season hitting 300. So that's good.
Also, I didn't mention, but Juan Soto's base percentage is 470. Bryce Harper is second at 428. He gets on base 4% higher than anyone else in the league. That's like, I don't know what the stats are, but that's insane.
He's getting on base half the time.
Yeah, and his team sucks, so like that's why he doesn't get like any recognition. I mean, they were supposed to be good this year, and then they blew it all up and had injuries and everything happened. But yeah, 2 impressive seasons for what they did. Corey Seager, like, you can't really. He got injured. It's not like he just played bad. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think they were bad picks.
Yeah. Speaking of being injured, American League MVP. Michael Trout. And this is a tough one because he's been hurt since May. And it's not like we got it wrong because he was the best player in baseball when he was healthy. So there's only so much you can do about that.
Yeah, it's tough.
But it looks like his teammate will get it. So good for Shohei. We're going to talk about that later when they actually start picking awards. But moving on to National League Cy Young. Another injury. We both picked Jacob deGrom. But guess what?
And he would have gotten it too.
When he was healthy, it wasn't even close. He was one of the best pitchers of all time. Like
yeah.
I don't know. We're back. There was a little cut there because there were some technical difficulties. But if you missed what we said, basically, we both had Mike Trout and Jacob deGrom winning AL MVP and NL Cy Young, which you can't really blame us for it because we were pretty much right when they were healthy. Jacob deGrom had the greatest season ever if he had like stayed healthy, and Mike Trout was hitting like 400. So
yeah,
those are just washes basically.
Moving
on to AL Cy Young, I had Tyler Glasnow, who looked really good. And then
every single one of your picks got injured. Wow.
Yeah. He looked really good and was kind of at the top of that race for a little bit. And then he blew out his elbow.
Yeah.
Because of sticky stuff ban, maybe. I don't know. That's just what he said. But definitely could be it. So Tyler Glasnow's not going to win it, although he did look good this year. It's just unfortunate to see him get hurt.
Yeah.
You had Garrett Cole, who
is
at the top of that race right now.
Right. I mean, both of our guys probably they did get affected by the sticky stuff thing.
Right.
Garrett Cole was one of the guys who infamously, like, he just blatantly did it. And then he got asked questions about it. And then he had like the dumbest response ever. But I mean, he still pitched really well this year. He had a little stretch after the sticky stuff where he played bad. And other than that, he's been great. He's top 3 in strikeouts. What is it? He's 16-8. I mean, he's on the Yankees, so you're going to get all the recognition. Like, he's their ace, so it's going to happen.
Right.
3.23 ERA. I mean, it's not the best, but obviously that's very good. Yeah, he's still at the top of that race. I don't think he's going to win it, but he's in the hunt.
Yeah, I think Robbie Ray is going to win it, but
yeah, I don't know who would have picked that.
Yeah, not many people. So yeah, shout out your pick. You're pretty close. National League Rookie of the Year. Neither of us got this. You had Ke'Bryan Hayes, who had a underwhelming year, I think. Yeah. I mean, he came in with lots of expectations, so it's tough to say. I mean, he had 250, nothing crazy. Ian Anderson, I picked him just because he came off of that crazy playoff stretch with the Braves where he like threw 3 scoreless outings like in the playoffs as a starter, as like a really young guy. Mm-hmm. Went 9-5 this year, 3.5 ERA, 1.23 WHIP. He's not going to win the award. Had a solid year though. It's looking like Jonathan India is going to win it. Of the Cincinnati Reds, he's had a really good season, so didn't get that right. American League Rookie of the Year. We both had two pretty good picks. Two Tampa Bay Rays. You had Randy Arozarena, who
he had a solid season.
He's probably gonna win it. I honestly can't think of Ryan Mountcastle is in there too.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year is probably like the hardest to predict, just because there's always going to be some people that nobody expected. But yeah, I mean, I don't think this pick was bad. Last season, he had in the playoffs like one of the most historic runs ever. I think he hit the most home runs in a postseason.
It's kind of ridiculous that he's still a rookie because he's played in like 3 playoffs already.
Yeah, he's 26 and this is his 3rd year. He just somehow qualifies for it. He's got like more postseason games than real games before this year. But yeah, I mean, he batted .270, over 800 OPS, 20 home runs. I mean, I feel like he could have been a little bit better just because of the expectations that we had for him from last postseason. But I mean, he's been good, and he's on the Rays, who, I mean, everybody's just like not talking about them for no reason, even though they're insanely good. But yeah, I like both our picks. We talked about Wander.
I went with Wander Franco, and I still firmly believe he would have won it if the Rays had called him up earlier. I don't know why they waited so long. It just didn't make sense.
Did they even wait long enough for like the weird contract things where he could get another year?
I think that might have been what they did on purpose.
I hate that.
Yeah. Because I mean, what does he have? What do you have? A 40 game on base streak?
Yeah, like, and it's still active.
Yeah, because he's been kind of roughed up the last, like, dinged up with injuries, so he hasn't played in a couple games. But like we've seen, when he's on the field, he is going to be a really good player for the Rays or whatever team he ends up on. Just going forward, I mean, he's a true 5-tool player in my opinion. He can really do everything. I made that pick at the beginning of the season thinking that they were going to call him up a lot sooner, but the Rays screwed me on that one.
Yeah.
Moving on to our division picks, and we're just kind of going to run through these and see how wrong or off we were. In the AL West, we had the Oakland A's. Disappointing season for the A's, really, and the Astros kind of showed that they're still good. Like, I think they had a really down season last year. Even they made it to the ALCS, yes, but just it was a weird season for them. But we were wrong about that. AL Central, we got the White Sox. We got that right.
Yep.
But I think that was a pretty consensus pick. AL East, we got wrong. We picked the Yankees. I keep doubting the Rays. And I feel like
I still am. Like,
I feel like I always will, because it's just like you never expect it. And then the Yankees are just injuries play into it, but also they just haven't been what we thought they were going to be.
Yeah, it's just so expected that like they're gonna get injured, like the whole team. And really, they haven't been like as injured as other years, but they've just kind of had very disappointing stretches that they've been going on. And I still think that they're probably going to get that wild card spot, but yeah, I mean, it's a tough, they're going to have to play someone who's really good. And I mean, it could be a 4-way tie still. So we don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, shout out the Rays.
Yeah. National League West, we picked the Dodgers. I mean, that's not a bad pick. Nobody expected the Giants. But I mean, I was talking about it last night. Like, it's so weird as a Dodger fan, and I'm sure even just as baseball fans, or for me personally, it's almost like I feel like the Dodgers aren't having the greatest season, but they've won 104 games.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't feel like that because they're not in first place. It's like, and you got to give all the credit to the Giants. They're having the best season in their franchise history that nobody expected.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's going to be interesting if they face off in the playoffs.
We've been talking about this. I guess it started as a 3-team race, but now the Padres are 28 games back somehow.
They're going to finish the season below 500. So
that's crazy. But yeah, like the Dodgers, I think if the Giants and Dodgers matched up in a series, 90% of unbiased fans would probably still take the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But like the Giants, they just keep winning and they've been consistently good. It's not like they're just getting lucky always. Like, yes, they've had things go their way, obviously, but they've been a really good team. I mean, the Dodgers have been amazing too, but their success is getting a little overshadowed just because it's like, what's going on with the Giants? And this has just continuously happened. But yeah, the Dodgers are insanely stacked. I still feel like they're the favorites to win it all. Crazy that they're going to be in a wild card game probably though.
Yeah. And with the Giants, I mean, yeah, they've done great this year. They just lost Brandon Belt for probably the postseason. And it's, it's not the same as like the NBA where like losing one player has this huge impact, because baseball is a very kind of team sport where one guy missing isn't going to make like the world of difference. Like, for example, if like the Lakers were missing Anthony Davis, like it just doesn't have the same impact.
If that happens somehow.
Like it doesn't have the same impact, but he's a guy that's been very important to that offense. So we'll see what, and also, I mean, flip it over on the Dodgers. Doesn't look like Clayton Kershaw is going to pitch in October. He hurt himself last night, and the way he was talking about it didn't sound good. And we may have seen Clayton Kershaw for the last time pitching for the Dodgers. We don't know what he's going to do this offseason.
I really hope not.
I hope not either. I hope not as well, but something in me feels like if we can win another one, he may just retire. Which I don't know. We'll see. But Kershaw and Brandon Belt, two veteran guys that are leaders in that clubhouse, not being able to be on the field for both teams, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Moving on to the NL Central, we had the Cardinals winning it, which didn't look good all season, and then kind of turned into an all right pick right now because they caught fire and are now the second wildcard team. But I mean, the Brewers pitching staff has just been lights out.
Yeah. It was Devin Williams who injured himself, right?
Yeah, idiot.
If you don't know, they clinched a playoff spot, and then
they clinched their division.
Yeah, and he was celebrating and punched a wall and broke his hand, and now he's out for the postseason. I don't know what goes through your head when you do that, but hey, it's a learning opportunity. I guarantee you he will not do that again. Yeah. But that is just so dumb because he's been so good this year. But I mean, they've been amazing. That team is amazing, and their pitching staff, even without him, is going to be great. So yeah, Milwaukee's been impressive.
Devin Williams out is definitely going to force them to make some interesting decisions because, this year their trend has kind of been starter goes 7 innings, Devin Williams pitches the 8th, and Josh Hader pitches the 9th, and it's worked out very well. But it's going to be tougher for them to bridge that gap to Hader, who has been phenomenal.
Right.
So, yeah. And at least we picked the Braves. I think we both picked the Braves with a different vision of the Braves in mind. I think we both thought that they were going to be like a powerhouse team almost. And this division just kind of was bad all around.
Yeah. I mean, they're missing Ronald Acuna. I mean, he was like an MVP favorite for the first month or so, and then he goes down. That's a big part of their team, even though one player is not going to make you win or lose like 20 more games or whatever. But I mean, it's going to have an effect on your clubhouse either way. So honestly, they could have won 100 games if he played and then everything went right. I don't know. But yeah, they're still a great team. So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that Philly's not going to make it just because how exciting their run to end it was. But yeah, the Braves are still fun and they're still good.
Yeah. And then our wild card picks in the American League, we had the Blue Jays and the Twins. Blue Jays is still possible. The Twins fell off a cliff.
Oh my God.
And the National League, we had the Padres and the Mets. So, yeah, neither of those happened.
Yeah. That's tough. That's a tough one.
But yeah, those were our preseason predictions. Some of them kind of paid off. A lot of them didn't. Most of them didn't. But, that's just the way it is. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to add. AL wildcard still is yet to be decided, so that'll be exciting. Um,
On Mariners.
Go Mariners. If you're not going for the Mariners and you're not like a fan of any of the other teams in a race, what are you doing?
Yeah, last time they made the playoffs, I was like 1 year old.
Yeah,
so
they
come
had
on.
Ken Griffey Jr. So, and also they won 116 games and then got bounced in the
Yikes.
first round. So, anyways, go Mariners. If you listen this far, thank you so much. Through all the technical difficulties, through all of us talking, we love you.
Wait, one thing for the NBA I do want to mention.
Oh, NBA.
Yeah, it's a quick one. We didn't discuss it before, but they are changing the rules for like, I guess, the flopping of an offensive player for things like jumping into another guy or things like that. It's going to be a little different. It's pretty complicated, but basically the things that like, I mean, we can call out guys like Trey Young and James Harden for doing things like hooking a guy and then shooting and getting fouls. But I mean, the whole league has done it.
Everybody does it because it's allowed.
Yeah, and it's allowed. And now it's going to be allowed less at least. So we'll see how that happens because the refs, obviously, you're going to have a growing like portion of the season where it's probably not going to just be seamless. But I think it's a thing to look at because a lot of people were complaining about it. And I mean, rightfully so. It's not fun watching guys just jump into other people to get a foul call. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what comes from that, I guess.
Yeah, anything to make the NBA less soft would be great. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. If you listen this far, go ahead and comment. Go Mariners because we're Mariners fans for the weekend. Yeah, thank you so much for listening, watching, whatever you chose to do. For my co-host Logan Ring, my name is Diego Sandoval, signing off.
Signing off.